And a good Saturday morning to you. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. On this Saturday morning, Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards forecaster. Looking at a broader picture here of the portion of the northern hemisphere. A couple things I want to show you here. There's still a little bit of smoke up in some areas here. Probably some forest fire smoke from some fires, some older smoke potentially. This is, of course, Hudson Bay, James Bay, Canada, and then we have Vermont over here. The main weather track has been to produce a lot of moisture coming in and shortwave troughs along a belt of, fairly strong belt of westerlies. The jet stream winds have been riding these generally west to east. Some of the times that gets a little bit into Vermont. A lot of the main action has been basically to our west and staying out of our hair. A heat ridge is in place right now. The big dome of heat is giving us indices in some parts of Vermont and a wide area of southeastern adjacent Canada as well as the northeast United States with heat indices around 100 degrees. A little different look now. We're looking at heat indices in terms of our temperatures here. This is the main what we call the baroclinic zone, where we have cooler air arriving in from Canada, brushing up against a very warm and very moist air mass. And of course it's triggering showers and thunderstorms off to the west of us. Across Vermont, you can see some of the heat indices in parts of New England are already basically into the 90s, headed for 100 degrees. And looking at dew point temperatures, you can see our dew points are basically in the 70s, and in some cases trying to make a run towards 75. Big weather right now, severe weather, is really well off to the west of us. We're going to see our own localized thunderstorms pop up, it looks like, later in the day. And best chances for that across the Champlain Valley, maybe the northern Greens. And some of that's going to linger into the night across our northern tier. Let's take a look at some of the modeling. Looking at the European model with the incremental 6-hourly differences, or looking at thicknesses and the red lines, as well as precipitation, of course. And this is valid 8 o'clock this morning. This is 18Z 2 o'clock in the afternoon. On the left-hand side is the most recent European computer model. On the right side is 12 hours ago. You can compare notes. This is valid this evening. Not a lot going on. Now, you might notice there is a little bit of thunderstorm activity in the green there in northern parts of Vermont on the left-hand screen. So that comes through basically during the night and during the day tomorrow. And a lot of it then gets worked on out of the region from northwest to southeast as slightly drier, less humid air starts to make a run at us, and that will decrease the amounts of showers and thunderstorms later in the day, it looks like, in northern areas on Sunday. We get into a little bit of a break, and then we have a surge of moisture. This is the heavier rainfall for this week, as a matter of fact. Right here, this is valid basically Monday night into the day on Tuesday. And you can see that by Tuesday afternoon, things begin to clear on out. We're looking at a pretty decent day for project weather on Tuesday, much lower dew point temperatures. And it's subsequently due to this area of low pressure that's tracking over here north of Vermont, sort of east of James Bay, Canada. Now, this is indicating a little bit of precipitation on Wednesday, so we may see some pop-up showers. Doesn't look like thunderstorms, but then that moves on out. We have another good project weather day on Thursday. This may linger a little bit into Friday. You can see stuff to the north of us, and this is Friday afternoon. So Friday is looking like another good project weather day, as is a part of Saturday. And this is valid again along about Sunday, the 28th of July. And you can see showers and thunderstorms, it looks like, later in the weekend for next week. Next thing we're going to look at here is precipitable water in standard deviations. And you can see this is valid going into the day today. And you can see a little bit of a burst here later on this afternoon arriving across most of Vermont. This, for example, is running about 2.5, almost 3 standard deviations. This is more or less fairly normal, the white, of course. And this is below normal, of course. We're looking at very dry conditions and some of the better conditions, fair weather conditions with lower dew points and low humidity. So as we work into the day and through the day into Sunday, You can see that Sunday's back edge there starts to reach northern parts of Vermont by 8 o'clock in the evening on Sunday evening. And some of that blue is starting to approach us, but another wave arrives, and this unloads a lot of moisture right here on Monday into Monday night. You can see that there with that wave of moisture. And then we're into much drier conditions as we get into Tuesday. There will be a few scattered showers on Wednesday, but no thunderstorms. And then we're still into some pretty nice weather, lower dew point temperatures up until we start seeing this tail end of this frontal system begin to work in and pull up some of that moisture. That doesn't happen until it looks like later in next weekend, and this is valid about 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday, the 29th. And looking at the GFS ensembles here from Montpelier, first off, you can see that it's dry today, and then we get into a little bit of business this evening, and we're looking at some potential showers and thunderstorms through this period here. It looks like it dries out again, and then we're into another period. So looking at the total QPF amount here, the GFS wants to bring a little greater than, it looks like a ½ inch to about 1 inch amounts. This is centered again on Barre Montpelier, but this will work pretty much anywhere. And then the next step, we're looking at similar amounts, 3/4 of an inch or so. So in terms of convection, I want to show you, first of all, our convective available potential energy. You see that the main threat for thunderstorms, and these are pretty good upward vertical motion here with the capes, provided we're not capped. The atmosphere has a stable layer in the mid layers. Provided we don't have that capping, we're seeing some mighty big capes, of course, to be expected in this hot and warm air mass, and then a pretty drastic fall off as we get into the other side, as we get into Monday even. And again, this is centered for Montpelier, so it's mostly southern Vermont. It's going to see that streak of rain. This is going to be to the south, and that's why it's not showing it. In terms of shear, this is generally the period here. It looks like late in the period, as we get into Monday, we'll start to see some pretty strong westerlies aloft. Most of the thunderstorm activity will be to the south of our region at that point in time, but there will be a period there on Monday we'll have to watch any southern thunderstorm activity across the southern part of Vermont. 2-meter temperatures, of course, today being the maximum. This is Sunday. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, using the GFS ensemble. Comparing dew point temperatures, you can see a pretty moist period here as we go into the day tonight and tomorrow, really, and then a pretty drastic fall off. And those dew point temperatures come down and basically get into the upper 40s once we get into around the 24th, 25th. So later in the week, we're looking pretty fine and very comfortable conditions, great comfortable conditions for sleeping. All right, projected precipitation. This is not 5 days, but 7 days total. And you can see that, again, the line, more precipitation across Vermont, mainly the southern parts of Vermont, less so across northern areas. That is really going to be the streak of the storm track. That's going to be that wave that I showed you with precipitable water and standard deviations. That's going to work across mainly this area here of Vermont. And once that moves on by, we dry out and things improve. Now, this looks pretty odd, but it's the weighted temperature for the next 5 days. Meteorological output statistics, or MOS, will be running 3 to 6 degrees below normal. That weighted temperature will go into a good portion of next week. And then thereafter, some 3 days later, we'll be back to neutral. We'll start to see a warm-up and so forth. And a quick look at the climate reanalyzer here. You can see our above normal temperatures. Cooler than normal temperatures across portions of the Pacific Northwest into Canada, and then it's warming back up again in the Arctic. This warm-up is pushing the jet stream and making it a little bit stronger here across the U.S.-Canadian border, and hence any kind of thunderstorm formation as we get into the late part of this weekend and into Monday will need to be watched with stronger westerlies. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.